We're just about halfway through the year, so, it's almost time to start talking about some of my favorite albums and what the top albums of the year so far are. But before we get into that, welcome to the Bar for Bar podcast. And this week, I'm going to talk about some of the albums that I'm looking forward to and just the general public, I guess, for the rest of 2021. So, a few disclaimers regarding these people I'm going to mention. They all haven't fully announced an album. We have ideas that they're working on albums, but it could also just be people that I feel should drop. Like people that I want to drop and with confirmation or not, essentially. Also, it's not necessarily people that I'm 100% looking forward to because, I don't care about every artist all the time. So that's what it is. It's mostly just to mention, artists that are going to get some sort of attention when they drop. And I say all that preamble to mention the first person, who is Drake. So Drake had announced Certified Lover Boy to release in January originally. Obviously, it got pushed back. And I think the first time it got pushed back, it was supposed to be somewhere in April, maybe. April came and went, so clearly has not dropped yet. But next, we got, I don't know if we got confirmation prior or just more recently, but he said it will be dropping by the end of summer when he was on Gnome this past weekend. So, maybe we'll get it this summer. Regardless, I'm not super into Drake. We all know this by now. Like, I'll listen to his music once, twice maybe, and I'll appreciate what he does, but typically his music doesn't stick with me. But again, that's just me. I know a lot of people really like him, so if you like him, totally fine. Speaking of artists who haven't dropped anything in a while, or have been maybe teasing it, I don't even know. Kendrick hasn't really been teasing it, obviously, but he's for sure been in the lab. We got pictures of him in there, but it's also been 4 years or so, yeah, something like that, since Damn dropped. So it's, most people feel like it's about time. I've heard a lot of things either way, though. Like, a lot of people were saying, yeah, he has it done, and it was supposed to have dropped last year, but, the whole pandemic. But it should be dropping this year now. We'll see. The only other, I guess, confirmation we have regarding that would be that he's performing at festivals. So maybe. And we'll just have to wait and see with that one. But regardless, again, Kendrick, I'm always excited to listen to. He's one of the few artists that I get very excited whenever they drop. So whenever there's an announcement, I'm going to be wilding out. Speaking of Kendrick, though, I guess, Baby Keem, he's going to be dropping Melodic Blue sometime soon, probably. And, that'd be dope. I still don't know how I fully feel about Keem. I like him, but I don't know if, I'm going to be listening to his music long term. But, we'll have to wait and see. I feel like he could do something good on this album. But then again, Do Rag Activity was kind of meh to me. So, yeah, we'll see. Continuing, I guess, with TD-related people. Or I guess more confirmed announcements first. Isaiah Rashad. He literally just announced this morning, Monday morning, that he has a new song coming out titled Headshots for the Locals on June 18th, which should be this Friday. Yeah, Friday, I think. And this has been a song that's been teased on Instagram Live quite a bit. So everyone's very excited for it. Now, his album was supposed to be dropping this month as well. And if he drops a single on the 18th, he he really only has one more week if he's dropping on a Friday. So it would be the 25th. I mean, The House is Burning will drop eventually, I'm sure. And based on us getting a second single, I think it's safe to assume that it's actually coming. But when will that actually be? I mean, hopefully they stick to the June release window, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Because it's cutting it a little close, don't you think? But, I mean, that's going to be a dope album anyway. It's always funny with Isaiah Rashad. People, like, for some reason have this idea of him being, like, a super lyrical genius. But that's not really his whole thing. Like, he has a little bit of that, but it's more of, like, he's very emotional in his music. Like, he puts a lot of himself in it, and it's just kind of a vibe. So I'm going to be excited for it. And I feel like it's going to be very, I guess, Southern influenced. So that's going to be a fun song for the summer, or fun album, actually. That's what I meant. Just to ride around to. Continuing with confirmed announcements. I just realized I really only have one other person that's confirmed on this list, and that is IDK. IDK will be dropping on July 9th. And I am really excited for that album. I know IDK is in a weird place. I feel like a lot of people know him, but not a lot of people know him at the same time. I feel like this album could do well for him, at least based off of like all the people that he might be working with. Because, if you follow him on Twitter, he just kind of randomly says, like, so-and-so is a good guy. So it's like, oh, maybe he's going to collab with them, or they've talked, or something like that. So this album could be one of those albums that kind of draws a lot of attention to him. And that'd be dope. I mean, I've been following him for a while now, like 2016, I think. And just seeing his growth has been a lot of fun. And he just has, like, he's been getting so many looks in general. Like, I feel like he's this close to being, like, popular in, like, the majority of people's eyes. Also, that track, Peloton and Shoot My Shot, were dope as hell. Like, they're not the type of songs that I feel like I would normally really listen to, but they worked really well, and I enjoyed them. So, that's coming out on July 9th. I'm excited for that. And now we get into the section where who knows if they're going to drop a little bit. So, actually, no, let's push that one back towards the end. Other people who are probably going to drop this year, but we don't actually have a proper release window just yet. Grand National, the guys from the Bay. Their season 2 of Twice on Sunday should be coming, at least from what I've been seeing. We, again, don't have a confirmed release date. It has been just over a year since the original one dropped. So I imagine it's coming soon. But, again, who knows? I mean, I'm sure it's coming soon, but, again, who knows exactly when. Then Kevin Allen, aka or formerly known as Irk the Jerk, like, he's dropping something for sure. Like, they've been hyping it up quite a bit, and if it's going to be anything like his last project, I'm sure it's going to be dope. Then Passwords. I mean, again, similar to Kevin Allen's album, like, people have been hyping it up, people around him, and I'm sure it's going to be dope also. Everything I've heard from Passwords in terms of, like, non-battle rap has been really dope. And, I mean, obviously battle rap as well. But, battle rap and making songs is two different things. So not everyone, I feel, can go between both worlds like that. And he's been doing a good job on the features and being on Grand National. So I'm sure it's going to be a really solid album. And I don't know if anyone else from Grand National will be dropping this year, but I'm sure someone will. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of y'all, so it's entirely possible. But those are the three that I'm, like, really been hearing about. Monty might be dropping something, so we'll just have to wait and see. That's kind of the theme of this. Like, let's just see what happens. Because again, like the only ones that were confirmed were the ones that I've already mentioned: Isaiah Rashad and IDK. Then moving on, people who, again, might be dropping. Yeah, well, Boogie is also in there. So Westside Boogie, WS Boogie, however he wants to be called now, unfortunately has such a a name that's just going to confuse people now, because originally just Boogie sounded like A Boogie, and then Westside Boogie sounds like Westside Gun. So, anyways, his album is on the way, I'm sure. At least that's what it sounds like. I don't follow him as closely as some of the other people on this list, but from what I've seen online, it sounds like he's pretty much ready to drop. So maybe we're just waiting on Shady. Or maybe he's just still trying to build up hype and just wait for the right time. But should be dropping hopefully soon. His last project was really awesome, and I keep forgetting the name of the album, but it was on my top 10 list at the end of the year when it dropped, so I'm looking forward to this one. And then, yeah, then there's a few other people now. So A$AP Rocky, I don't know, honestly. All Smiles has been teased for a couple years now. I feel like the first time I really heard of it was 2019. And what was the name of the song? Sundress, I think. It was a Lucy, essentially, or a single. But that was a fun song. So if we get more songs like that, that'd be cool. And same with Isaiah Rashad. A$AP Rocky is not necessarily the most lyrical person, but it's just kind of like the whole vibe to him is fun and enjoyable to listen to. I think the last time we heard of him, like talking about it, his album was pretty recently. I think it was like an interview, like it was kind of alluded to just slightly, or maybe like, because I didn't actually read the interview, it could have just been a headline and to get people to click on it. Didn't work on me because I didn't click on it, I guess. But you know, I would enjoy an A$AP Rocky album. And then I guess the last sort of confirmed, like we have some information on album, is Tyler the Creator. So what was it, a couple days ago or sometime early last week, there was a sign or billboard posted up, which just had a number, or like it said, "Call me if you get lost," and then it had the number right below it. And when people started calling it, they were greeted by a snippet of a song, and I think it was Tyler's mom talking on it. I didn't get a chance to call it or listen to it just yet, so I'm just going off of what I remember reading. But it's about time for him to drop another album. He's been dropping albums every 2 years pretty consistently, so it has been 2 years since Igor. And then just this morning, he also put out like another weird snippet sort of ad thing on Twitter and Instagram. I don't even know what he was doing in that one, but that one's a little bit weird too, because if you remember, sometime last year or maybe the year before, again, I don't remember exactly, he would just kind of post a picture or like a little video and then a number, and I guess you can consider it a song title. So he did the same thing with this one. I forgot the song title of this one, but it was like 10 and Sweet, I think. So who knows? Maybe it's an album, or maybe it's just a bunch of Lucy's, but I'm leaning more towards the album because of his previous track record. It does kind of suck though, because Camp Flog Gnaw's not a thing this year, or at least it hasn't been announced yet. So he's not able to promote his album. But hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. Oh yeah, I think, I don't know, I think it was Tyler the Creator. 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 I think it was Tyler the Cre I keep so again, I have two different windows pulled up just for different things, but one person I didn't write down, or one group I didn't write down, was EarthGang. EarthGang is dropping Ghetto Gods this year. Like, that's happening. And I think they said that they were dropping by, or like after Lollapalooza, so sometime in August, maybe September, which coincidentally is pretty much right around when they dropped Mirrorland, I think. I think it dropped in like September, like mid-September. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Everything I've heard so far in terms of like their Lemon Pepper Freestyle and Aretha has been really dope. I don't think either of those are going to be on the album, but they're good teasers, you could say. I'm curious to see who they have on the album, though, because last time they had quite a few features that fit really well. Like, they had T-Pain, they had Kehlani, and then all the usual suspects as well. So I'm excited to see who else ends up on the album. Then, yeah, so now it's people who 100% have not confirmed anything, but I feel like they might drop. So, obviously, Conway the Machine, he still has to drop God Don't Make Mistakes. Maybe that'll drop this year. He was recently in the lab with The Alchemist, so maybe they have another collab project coming. That would be dope. But yeah, I mean, it's very rare to only get an EP and one album from Conway, I feel. Like, that's not a normal thing. Like, we got the EP he did with Big Ghost and then La Machina. So I have a feeling there's another one coming. It'd be a little strange to not have one. Then Benny the Butcher, he might. I feel like Benny can go a little bit longer between albums. Like, meaning he drops maybe one a year. Or like an EP and then maybe an album. Because he did drop the Plugs I Met Part 2, which I wasn't huge on. If you watched the review, I liked it, but it didn't live up to the bar that was set by the first one, for me at least. So that's that, at least. And he did also do the Trust the Sopranos project, which obviously he wasn't the only person on, but he was heavily featured. So who knows? We might get another Benny album. I'm not sure. And then I guess I didn't put him on the list because I forgot about it, but Westside Gunn should be dropping Hitler Wears Hermes 8 sometime. Who knows when, but it'll drop at some point, I'm sure. And then as far as other artists that I can just think of off the top of my head, or that are on the list, I mean, Absol, I think he mentioned something that his album's done. I could be wrong, though, because he's a very reclusive person, but not to the same extent as, like, Kendrick. So whenever he does tweet something, I'm like, oh, whoa, he's, okay, maybe he's got something coming. So I forgot if he straight up confirmed it or not, but he had tweeted recently, so I was like, oh, maybe he's got something coming. J-Rock. I know a lot of people don't really care as much for J-Rock, but I really like J-Rock. But he's probably got something coming. I've seen him in the studio, so it's possible. But again, like, TDE is very methodical with their releases, I feel. So they might not want to rush anything. But, you know, they could also just do something like Kanye did with The Surgical Summer and just drop an album every week after Isaiah Rashad. I don't think it's going to be like that. He's probably going to drop, or they're probably going to drop like a single or two and then the album. So, I don't know. We'll have to figure out exactly. And speaking of TD, SZA is probably going to drop something. And I feel bad because every so often, like, it sounds like SZA's upset at Top Dog. But I feel like it's also RCA because they're a more major label. So, I don't know. I don't know who to blame. I don't want to blame anyone. But SZA's probably going to drop maybe this year. But I can see it being pushed back to next year, probably. In other topics or other people. I mean, Dreamville still has a bunch of people who should be dropping. Kaz, Boz, Loot, Omen, Ari. Like, there's a lot of people who could be dropping this year. I think the most likely person to drop, other than EarthGang, of course, would be Boz, because I think he has a single coming out maybe this week, maybe next week. But who knows? It could just be like a random one-off track. And then the biggest one that I've been kind of thinking about this whole year, really, Jay-Z might be dropping something. And the only reason I say that is because he's been doing a lot more interviews, and he's been just kind of around more. Like, he's been outside and he's been with people. Like, recently he was photographed with Conway and Westside Gunn. So he might have something coming. Like, to me, it feels weird for Jay-Z to be outside. Like, I feel like he's one of those people that, similar to like Kendrick, like tends to stay inside, or maybe more like Cole. Like, he'll pop up every so often. But who knows? He might have something coming. And these 2 tracks that he did with Nas this year, like maybe they got something cooking. I mean, we'll have to wait and see again, but I just hope it isn't rich people bars. Oh man. Okay, well, I think those are all the artists that I feel should be dropping, or at least I have some sort of knowledge of them doing work. Let's get into just some news things real quick. There aren't very many. I just realized that I said a lot of the news things while I was talking about the artists who may be dropping. Because I was going to say, Isaiah Rashad's dropping a new song, which we already know because I mentioned it at the beginning. And then Tyler might be dropping an album, which I already mentioned as well. The other, I guess, announcements. This is kind of older news now, but something that I'm happy about. The people who now own De La Soul's catalog, because it's no longer Tommy Boy. Let me see if I can pull it out. Reservoir Media. Reservoir Media bought all of Tommy Boy's music for $100 million, which honestly sounds low, but they have said that they're working with De La Soul to get their previous albums back onto streaming. So that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to that, because they've been kind of screwed over for the longest time. So I'm happy that these guys are actually trying to work with them. Other than that, I guess Snow Allegra announced an album, which should be dropping July 9th as well. And everyone was clowning it because the album art just looks like someone made it in Microsoft Paint. It's a very underwhelming album cover, for sure. But there's 2 Tyler, the Creator features. So that's awesome. And I guess the only other thing to really talk about is music that released this past week, which there was quite a bit. And I honestly didn't even get to listen to all of it yet. So, starting with early last week, T. Carrier, he is from the Bay Area, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know I've mentioned his album is really, really solid. Review is probably going to drop maybe tomorrow. So check out Terrence. It's a dope album. Like, I said in the review, but the Bay Area has got such a wide variety of sounds that go beyond the stereotypical sound that everyone expects. And it's a shame that publications, even the ones in the Bay Area, just tend to ignore it. So it's different. Different in the sense that it's not like the stereotypical stuff. Like, if you listen to Grand National, like anything that they've done, it's kind of in that sort of lane, I feel. It's a little bit different. Not your typical rap thing. Other than that, your old Droog dropped Time. that album. So this is the first time I really listened to him, and it's so good. I'm gonna try to get a review done for that, but it's probably not gonna drop this week because it's. I mean, it's not that it's super dense. The concepts are pretty straightforward, but it's something that I have to spend a little bit more time with. I feel it's not even a long album. I think it's like 30 something minutes, but there's more to it than just dropping it. Skyzoo dropped All the Brilliant Things, which I need to still check out, and I've been hearing only good things about, so that should be a dope album to check out. Larry June dropped Orange Paint, which, again, need to check that one out as well. God, there's just so much music that I don't have time for, unfortunately, but, I'm going to try my best. Yeah, and then I guess the Migos dropped Culture 3. Yeah, I have no intentions on reviewing it. I'll probably give it a listen at some point, but everything I've been hearing is just kind of like, well, it's a Migos album. So, but I could be wrong. So if you feel some sort of other way about it, let me know. And the only other album that I can see on this list that I would probably check out would be Polo G's Hall of Fame. So, it's interesting because I've been hearing like people who like Polo G, like they're like, oh well, he changed up the sound and they don't like it, but then a bunch of people are like, oh no, the sound is dope. So I'm gonna have to check that out and see for myself. Again, probably not gonna do a review for it in all honesty, but we'll see. I think that's all I have. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. This week was pretty light in terms of news, so I don't have a whole lot to just kind of talk about there. But, with that said, let me know in the comments below if I missed anything in terms of news and what other artists you feel may be dropping and who you're looking forward to dropping an album this year. Because, like I mentioned, this isn't an all-inclusive list. There's for sure more people dropping albums other than the people I've talked about. Yeah. Also, like, subscribe, and share this video with friends if you feel inclined to do so. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please stay safe out there.